So you knew it was gonna be boosted?
No. Well, yeah, I mean...
The relationship between Tony Soprano and Christopher Moltisanti is one of the richest and most tragic dynamics in The Sopranos. Across 6 seasons, their bond evolves from paternal guidance and mentorship to suspicion, resentment, and ultimately betrayal. Christopher is both Tony's protege and his surrogate son, the heir apparent who never quite lives up to his potential. Their story exposes the corrosive effects of addiction, ambition, and the mob's brutal logic, culminating in Tony murdering Christopher with his own hands. The arc of their relationship embodies the show's central themes of family, loyalty, and the impossibility of escaping one's flaws. From the outset, Tony positions himself as Christopher's mentor. Christopher is not technically his blood nephew, his Carmela's cousin's son, but Tony repeatedly refers to him as my nephew, signaling both affection and ownership. In Season 1, Tony assures Chris that his work in the crime family will be rewarded, promising him the keys to the kingdom if he proves himself. This paternalism is more than symbolic. Tony recognizes Chris's youth, ambition, and potential as a successor. At the same time, Christopher desperately craves Tony's approval. He sees himself not only as Tony's heir, but as someone destined for greatness in the mob. His scriptwriting subplot in Season 2 reveals his desire for recognition, both within the family and outside it. He wants his story told, his struggles immortalized. For Christopher, Tony is both father and audience, the man whose validation would confirm his own sense of worth. The relationship soon becomes strained, as Tony witnesses Christopher's flaws. Christopher's heroin addiction emerges as a recurring obstacle, undermining his reliability in critical moments. In Whoever Did This, Season 4, when Tony kills Ralph Cifaretto, Christopher is high and nearly jeopardizes the cover-up. Tony's disgust at Chris's condition is palpable. He sees that the man he hoped would succeed him may be too weak to handle responsibility. Tony's doubts are not only professional but existential. He looks at Christopher and sees his own worst traits magnified: impulsiveness, insecurity, and self-destructiveness. Christopher's unreliability makes Tony question his own judgment. If Chris is the future of the family, then perhaps the family itself has no future. As the seasons progress, their relationship shifts from paternal affection to mutual resentment. Christopher begins to feel suffocated by Tony's dominance, believing that his uncle holds him back. In Luxury Lounge, Season 6, Chris lashes out when he perceives Tony hogging the Hollywood spotlight. The resentment is exacerbated by Tony's mockery of Christopher's artistic aspirations, which he dismisses as frivolous. On Tony's side, paranoia creeps in. He suspects Chris might flip if pressured by law enforcement, or that his addiction will one day compromise the entire organization. In The Sopranos, trust is everything, and Christopher's behavior repeatedly demonstrates he cannot be trusted fully. This erodes whatever affection Tony once felt, replacing it with calculation and cold appraisal. Tony's darker impulses toward Christopher surface well before the final betrayal. In the fever dream of Funhouse, Season 2, Tony contemplates shooting Chris, suggesting that doubts about his nephew's reliability were lodged in his subconscious from early on. Episodes like Cold Cuts, Season 5, showcase their simmering hostility, with Tony subtly humiliating Christopher and asserting dominance. Their bond becomes less about family and more about hierarchy: Tony the boss, Chris the soldier. The show peppers in foreshadowing of Chris's eventual fate. The test dream sequence in Season 5 includes imagery of Christopher as a liability, a passenger Tony cannot control. Over time, Tony's subconscious and his waking doubts align, making Christopher's death feel inevitable. The culmination of their relationship arrives in Season 6, Episode 18, when Christopher crashes his car with Tony in the passenger seat. Christopher, high on drugs, admits he wouldn't pass a drug test, effectively confessing his liability. In that instant, Tony suffocates him, ensuring his death looks like an accident. This act is both pragmatic and personal. Pragmatically, Tony sees Chris as a ticking time bomb who endangers the family's survival. Personally, Tony admits afterward that he felt relief at his death. Christopher, the surrogate son, had become a burden Tony could no longer carry. The murder crystallizes the mob's central ethos: sentiment has no place in business. Even family can and will be sacrificed. Tony's killing of Christopher is one of the show's most shocking betrayals, but it is also the logical conclusion of their relationship. Tony raised Christopher in his own image, only to despise what he saw reflected back. Christopher, for his part, loved Tony but also longed to escape his shadow, whether through drugs, Hollywood, or dreams of power. Their tragedy lies in their similarity. Both men are insecure, ambitious, and addicted to destructive patterns. In the broader context of The Sopranos, their relationship serves as a microcosm of the show's central conflicts. Family and business are inseparable, and love is constantly undermined by paranoia, addiction, and violence. By killing Christopher, Tony not only eliminates a liability, but symbolically rejects his own future. Without an heir, Tony becomes a man with no legacy, a king without a kingdom. The arc of Tony and Christopher's relationship is one of the most profound explorations of family, loyalty, and betrayal in television history. What begins as a surrogate father-son bond ends in murder, with Tony extinguishing the very life he once sought to nurture. Their story illustrates the impossibility of reconciling love and power in the world of The Sopranos. Ultimately, Tony's act of killing Christopher is less about the nephew's failures, and more about Tony's own inability to escape the violent logic of the life he leads. Christopher's tragedy is that he wanted Tony's approval more than anything, and Tony's final judgment was to end his life.